So today we're going to be talking about the top money wasting products for urban sketchers and artists really who are interested in drawing and sketching. And this is my own personal opinion. So I really do hope that if you have any beef with what I'm saying here today, drop a comment in below. I'm more than happy to stand corrected or rejected on any of the points that I'm about to make. So number one, I would say the biggest mistake I see people make when they buy watercolor sets is they buy 45 different colors. The big sets, the ones you see where there's a rainbow of options. When you start sketching, you really don't need that. It could be argued that if you really want to learn watercolors properly from the beginning, then you start with your 3 primary colors, and then you build on your secondaries and tertiaries, and you go from there. Now that's a pain in the bum, I'll be honest. And I think, you can cut a lot of corners by having a premixed green on your palette. But I would say you don't really need any more than 12 to begin with. And arguably you could have 6. Again, just my opinion, but spending £60 or £70 on a big set of watercolors, I think is a little bit of a waste of money, particularly when you consider that all manufacturers do different products. Some are honey-based, some are, oil-based or whatever. And it may be that the first one you buy, you're not that keen on, or you think is brilliant, and you stay with that for the rest of your life. But the chances are, what's going to happen is you're going to try somebody else's set, or you're going to learn a little bit more about it, and you're maybe going to try some different manufacturers. So you don't want to invest too much money from the off on a huge palette from one manufacturer, because you might not be using that manufacturer in 3 or 4 years' time or whatever. Kind of the same but different. There is companies out there who do very, very expensive accessories when it comes to a sketching kit. There's clips that hold things in place and bags that are like $100 and things. You don't need any of that. All you need is a sketchbook, an elastic band and a pencil. And the elastic band's there just to sort of stop the paper from flying around if you're sketching in the wind. All you really need is a pen and a bit of paper. If you want a bag for sketching, you can get something really cheap out there that's just the perfect size. Again, there's a link downstairs for a video I did on my Second World War gas mask bag, which was about $30, one of my favourite sketching pads. And my channel is full of videos where I'm doing some really nice sketching with just a fountain pen and a water brush, or just a pen only. You don't need to invest in huge amounts of equipment to make a start with urban sketching and drawing and things like that. So another sort of pet peeve of mine is big sets of things. So when you buy fine liners, you don't need 25,000 different fine liners all in a myriad of different sizes. You probably need 2, like a wideish one and a thin one. You could actually just use a thin one, and if you want to make a line wider, just go over it a couple of times, actually make it wider yourself, The amount of stuff that is really marketed to people who are getting into art, my point being is, really do try and keep it simple when it comes to the amount of materials you're using, because then it's accessible and you're more likely to sort of keep up that art habit, if you know what I mean. Which brings me to my last point, really, and this is specifically watercolour related, really. There's a lot of budget brushes that are perfectly good to get you going, and I would recommend you try a few different types of brushes. You can't really just use one size. It does kind of limit you a little bit, so you might want a bigger brush, like a big mop brush, and then like a tiny detail brush. But again, that's something you have to experiment with yourself. So you don't necessarily want to be going down the route of buying some very, very expensive brushes if ultimately you don't ever use that size. So this is an area where I would perhaps recommend you spend less money and you buy one of those sets that has quite a few different sizes in, so you can try them and you can experiment with those different types of brushes, flat brushes, daggers, houndstooth, cat's paws, the Egremont, Bilbo's Journey, and Flatfoot. All those different types of brushes will give you a different idea of mark making, and you can just play and experiment with them. So don't fall into the trap that the more you spend on a watercolour brush, the better it's going to be for you, because it might be that it's something you buy, and yes, it's a very good brush, but you never use it. And feel free to, like I said before, feel free to disagree with any of this nonsense and pop a comment below. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.